talk to you today about it's called a Sankalpa. And if you're not familiar with this term, it's a Sanskrit term. I've heard a few translations of it, but it basically is a vow or a commitment, a resolve that you cultivate within yourself that is born from truth, from the heart, over a long period of time. So if my memory serves me, the term san, it means aligning with truth or aligning with the pure heart, and then a kulpa is a resolve that or a vow that takes a long period of time. It's not like a quick instantaneous thing, but a sankalpa is something that you're thinking about. It's like that expression that dreams you have to dream before reality comes to be. And so when you want something, when you're cultivating something for yourself, whether it's something in your relationships or through work or a state of mind or a state of emotional grace that you're trying to cultivate within you, it's like tending the garden. You plant these little baby seeds and you watch them every day and you water them and you love them and you give them sun, and you cultivate what you're growing. And you can't expect to plant a seed and the very next day to eat a vegetable. Like it takes a period of time, and the same is true with our intentions. So if you are trying to grow something within you, how do you have resolve around it? What do you do to have a daily practice of keeping inspired, of keeping your resolve, staying the course, noticing when you kind of veer off course and coming back? Embedded in a sankalpa is two things. One, because it is something that's born from the heart, it's embedded in compassion, that you need to have a compassionate heart to hold something for yourself, because never is the path like this. We always, when we have an intention, a goal, whatever it is, it never goes according to plan, right? And so what do you do when you fall off and you forget what you wanted to do, or you get lost or sidetracked, or the world throws something else at you? How do you handle those kinds of challenges along the way? And having self-compassion for the ways we fall and get back up is a really important aspect of a sankalpa, as well as patience, that we need to know that these things take time. And then the last little essence of it is besides kind of knowing that the path is going to be bumpy, is to you can have a sense of resolve without attaching yourself to the results. So we talk about this in the yoga path all the time, that you give it everything you got and you let go of the results of your efforts. It's like growing the tree and producing the fruit and then letting the fruit, or the dandelion seed that flies away. We don't have any control over the final result of our work, but we have the capacity to cultivate along the way. So letting go of expectations at the same time as staying with your will and your resolve and your vow, if you make a vow towards something or someone. So this is what a sankalpa is, and I bring it up now. I'm working on something myself, but also it's the season, right? Like this is the season of bringing forth energy. The things are erupting from the earth. Flowers are starting to blossom, even though there is snow potential, to sidetrack us. We have this energy of the earth right now, giving us light and a surge. So ride the wave. See what you can do to harness some of the energy that's around you, to help you cultivate whatever it is that you are working with for yourself. So don't forget to dream. I think when we get older, we forget sometimes that we can dream. All right, so dreaming is not just in the avenue of childhood or of young adulthood. It can be at any point in our lives. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and allow yourself to drop into your practice. So no matter what the day has held, maybe you've been busy, maybe you've been slow, maybe your mind's been racing, maybe you've been very calm. Whatever has been for you, see what you can do to just allow yourself to drop into this moment. Can you root yourself to the earth without stagnating and getting stuck. This is back to this balance of giving something your all, but also releasing at the same time. So let's feel this in our groundedness. Can we yield? Can we have a relationship that we give and we receive, that we ground into the earth, but we're also free? Allow the shoulders to soften, allow the skin to soften. Any little pockets that you're aware of where tension creeps to you very easily, let's go there right now and check in. How is this part of you in the mind or body? And can you soften and surrender there? Compassion, patience, commitment. Can you cultivate these things and be free to be spacious within it? Detach. Find your breath. It is this beautiful example of this ability to receive and give, this ability to stay in the flow. So feel this moving through you. It is you, you are the breath. Notice where your barriers are, where your snags are. Where do you get trapped up in the breath or in the mind? Can you free your belly? Can you free your diaphragm? Can you free your pelvis? Can you free the back body, the shoulders, the collarbones, the ribs, all these places that need to be open for a good breath? And then as we place our palms together at our heart, are you working with a Sankalpa? Is there a dream that you are slowly chipping away at making a reality? Is there something that you are cultivating, planting seeds, growing within you? Can you reach into the sacredness of making a commitment or a vow in the heart that's just for you? Can you reach into the sacredness of holding that space with compassion as you trip up and fall, with patience as things take time, with adaptability as things never go according to plan? And through all these things, can you still hold true? That sand holding to truth, hold true, whatever it is you're envisioning. Okay, let's release the hands and come onto your back. Okay. So when you come onto your back, let's just enjoy having a moment first to just relax your body and rest on the floor. This gift of presence that our practice so easily is available to us if we allow ourselves to be here for it. So as your limbs fall into the earth, can you feel the sense of freedom and relaxation? Is there a softness in your joint spaces? And just notice where you landed. Do you feel symmetrical or not? Is there one part of your body that's a little more grounded than any other part? Is it relaxing? Or do you have kind of a wound up tension pattern that needs some movement to release? All right, let's start by rolling the wrists and rolling the ankles. Just getting some movement in the very edges of your body. Spread around your fingers and move them, wiggle your toes and move them. And then maybe even rock your legs. So knock kneed and then turn out. So toes, pigeon toe, turn out, let your femur bones flump and flop with that kind of action. Just releasing all the way from your pelvis to your feet. And stretch your arms overhead and feel the deep length in your body and notice immediately the shift in your nervous system. Maybe you want to hold your breath. Notice whatever tendencies are here. See if you can kind of follow the trail.
And then reach into the right side, reach into the left side, and wake your body up. If there's anything that's hurting, notice. See what you need to do to take extra good care of yourself today. And then bring the knees into the chest and rock around a little bit. Finding that sense of, um, the ease that comes into your nervous system when you rock. Can you feel like even your brain can swish a little bit inside your skull bones as you rock left and right? All right, let's circle the knees, feeling the back body, the sacrum, the sacroiliac joints. Circle the other way. And then right knee into your chest. Left leg comes long on the floor and roll around those ankles again. And switch. Keep rolling your feet around. Wake up some of those muscles in the outside of your shins. And then 2 knees in and open your legs up and bring them back in. Just letting the pelvis move. So maybe when you move your knees, your pelvis moves too. You might rock the pelvis anteriorly and then posteriorly. Just let your body be how it wants to be. And then go ahead and place your feet down onto the ground. Let's take them a little wider than our hips, or at least hip width apart, and just rock left and right. And feel free to go as deep into this. You might roll all the way over onto your side and stretch and just find whatever movement is inviting to you. All right, and then relax. Grab your strap. If you don't have one, it's okay. We're going to wrap the strap around your right foot, and if you don't have a strap, interlace your hands behind your hamstring. Reach that leg. Left foot is going to be on the floor, so our pelvis is in a nice neutral place. Root up through your foot, root down through your hip. See if you can find that balance point of moving in 2 directions. Feel the extension of your spine. Let the femur bone move away. Breathe deeply here. We're going to cross the right foot over to the left a little bit or a lot. See how far you want to go. We're still moving our right hip away from our shoulder. Stretch through the 4 points of your right foot in the air. Extend the spine. All right, and then come back. Let's open the leg up. The left knee is going to be bent, left foot on the floor. Open your right leg to the side and cantilever your left knee out to the side so you feel balanced across your pelvis instead of feeling like you're rocking all the way over to the right. Be quite gentle in this. Try not to overdo this stretch. Feel a little core engagement, so you're stabilizing your back and your pelvis on the floor instead of letting it flump with the heavy weight of your femur bones. All right, and then come back up and reach that leg in the air. Now decide, maybe you want to stretch your left leg long on the floor. See what it might feel like to let go of the strap and stretch your arms overhead. And if that doesn't work, maybe try just your left arm overhead and the right arm comes down at your side. If that still doesn't work, 2 hands on the ground. If it still doesn't work, left foot on the floor. So find your balance point of being able to stabilize with your core, stay long in the spine. And then release, bring your right knee into your chest and go ahead and straighten that right leg on the ground. Bring your left knee in, grab the strap again, put it around your left foot or interlace your hands behind your left hamstring, bend your right knee again and put your right foot on the floor. Feel, when our right knee is bent, we have a lot of maneuverability to keep our pelvis in a nice neutral place. So see if you can feel that. Can you move your left femur bone away from your hip joint, away from your crown? Feel the lift of your foot, the drop of your femur bone into the earth. Spread out the bones of your feet. Deep breaths here. Just enjoying the back leg stretch, the back spine stretch, perhaps your glutes. And then we're going to cross the left foot to the right. You can hold the strap in both hands or one, whatever feels good. We're not going all the way over into a spinal twist. We're really trying to stretch open the hip here. Move your femur bone away from the shoulder, elongate the spine. Keep all 4 corners of that left foot active and pressing. How's your breath? And then lift that leg up, Open your left leg out to the left. So we're holding the strap with our left hand. You can always hold your leg if you don't have a strap. Open up the right knee as well. Balance. So this is a big movement for your hip joints and your sacroiliac joints. So see what it feels like to have some global support of your core, even feeling, try not to lock the breath. So when you engage your core, it's not just pinning yourself down to the ground. Have some mobility in your breath. All right, and then lift that left leg straight back up again. Right leg can come straight, or you can keep it bent, whatever's going to be most stable for your pelvis, and then make some decisions about how you want your arms to be and legs to be. So 2 arms can come up in the air. Keep moving that left femur bone away from your shoulder. Elongate the spine. Maybe 1 arm. If you're doing 1 arm up, try the right arm unless you have a right arm issue, and then maybe the left arm. So just see where you want to be in space, holding yourself stable with your core. And then go ahead and relax. Bring that knee into the chest and then stretch that leg long on the ground. Spread out your limbs, starfish open, toes and fingers wiggle. Exhale, knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Couple more times. Let the full body experience this pose. Maybe your back wants to arch a little bit. Maybe your back wants to round a little bit. Find yourself moving fluidly with your breath, reaching to your edges and coming back to your center. Find your way onto your side, roll over, and come up onto your hands and your knees. Okay, so let's move through some cat-cows, rolling through your spine. See if you can find 1 vertebrae at a time, or maybe you prefer just kind of sweeping your whole spine in one movement. Whatever feels really nice. So just come into your body. And then feel free to wiggle things around. Move your rib cage, move your shoulders, move your pelvis. See what your head wants to do. Enjoy your body. All right, curl the toes under. Stretch back to child's pose, just so we wake the bottom of the feet. Probably you're not going to go back very far, and this might be quite painful if you've got some foot issues going on. So only go back as far as your body says is okay. Spread open the bones of your feet. Look out behind you with your soles of your feet. Get them broad. And then relax and smack your feet onto the ground if it's comfortable. If you have feet issues, sometimes these things can be quite tender. Curl the toes under and lift up to dog pose. Let's stretch open the Achilles. So maybe drop 1 heel down and then switch to the other side. Just wake up the calves. See what it feels like to wake up the hamstrings. Travel upward through your legs. Feel that sense of stability where we're 2 hands hugging toward each other on the mat. We're stable in our shoulders, using the muscles along our torso. Feel the heart reach toward the pelvis. Bend your knees as much as you want so the pelvis has capacity to roll over those femur bones. Great, and then move your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold in half. Find your breath. Inhale for a halfway lift. Keep the spine long. And then exhale and relax and melt again. Rise up, reaching the arms all the way to the sky. Open your heart. Lean back a little bit if it feels good. Feel the heart open to the sky. Stretch out your arms out to the sides. Find your breath. See if you can stretch from your sternum to your fingers. Wiggle your fingers out there. And then inhale. Arms up again. Exhale and fold forward. Relax the spine. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down again. Step back to a plank. 2 feet coming back to you. Always bring 1 foot back first. Try to take the path less traveled in your body. And you may not even remember or notice which foot you take back first. So see what you can do to start paying attention to your habits. Breathing deeply. Hug in toward the midline. Feel the stable core. Finding the breath. And then put your knees down onto the ground and come all the way to the floor. Inhale, cobra pose. Shoulders move back. Exhale and relax again. Let's put our hands out in front of us or back behind us. Choose what's best for your shoulders. We're going to do a little bit of oppositional work. Lift right leg and left arm up at the same time. Engage your core. Try not to fall into the earth. Pay attention to how the front body is supporting the back body. And then release and let go. Change sides. Okay, left leg, right arm. Find your deep core. Let that transverse abdominis work for you, hugging your organs to your spine. Exhale and melt back down. Come up onto all fours. Feel some swish, sway movement, whatever feels nice in the body. Take your left leg straight back behind you, right arm out in front of you. Find your breath, hug your hand and knee on the floor toward each other. Feel the stabilization of your core here. Find your breath, and as you exhale, hug your elbow and knee into each other. Inhale, bring it back out. Exhale, bring it back in. One more time. As you bring it in, it's okay to move the spine a little bit. You don't have to be just totally flat the whole way. Place the hand and knee down onto the ground and change sides. Shake out your wrist if you need it. Have that leg come back. Your left arm in front, right leg behind you. If your shoulder's unhappy, bring your arm back at your side or out to the side. Integrate through. Find that your core is this full 360 around your torso. Like you're in an inner tube. You're in a PVC pipe, right? Like everything's kind of hugging in around you. Find your breath. When you're ready, exhale. Draw your elbow and knee toward you. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale. Draw it in. One more time. Feel the full length. Feel the full flexion. All right, place that hand, place the foot down or knee down onto the ground. Find your way up to dog pose and extend the spine again. Take a pause here to feel the wide open breath, to let your head melt, to soften something. Bring yourself into your resolve without tension. Can you have will without attachment? This is hard. I don't know about you, but I find that very hard. You know, when you attach to something you're working hard at, you want the results of your efforts. So how do you do this? How do you let go? Can your body teach you a gift of this? Can you feel that sense of effort in the body, but also the sense of ease, the yielding, the release of your skin? Practice the art of having both those things happen simultaneously in your physical body to teach the mind that it's possible to hold two sides of the coin. Lift the right leg up in the air. Exhale, bring knee to nose. Use your core. Inhale, bring that leg back. Use your glutes, lift them high. Exhale, plant your foot down. Grab your blocks. Come into a lunge. Finding the breath, the heart expands. Let's open the leg one more time, squaring the hips, tuck your chin toward your chest, and then find a lunge. Rise up, bringing your hands anywhere you want them to be. Is your breath more comfortable with your hands down, or is your breath more comfortable with your arms up? And by comfort, I mean you're able to maintain good, healthy breathing. And you don't have to choose the easiest path of effort, but make sure that your body can sustain this balance point of the will and the ease simultaneously. Try not to have the no pain, no gain mentality as the only way to accomplish a task. All right, let's release our hands down onto the ground. Hop up onto your right foot and lift that leg in the air. Pulse the leg a few times so you have some engagement in your glutes. Feel the extension in your spine. Find your breath here, square off the hips. Engage through the core. Can you find some support from your rib cage to your pelvis? Can you lengthen there and hug in? And then go ahead and release your foot down next to the other foot, halfway lift. 2 feet become one, feel the weight balance. Release your right foot back, lunging on this side. Finding your breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Begin to bend and straighten your leg once or twice. See what it feels like to drop your chin toward your chest. And then as you're ready, press off your front foot, feel the heel root into the earth, and find your way up in the air. So once again, where do you want your body to be in space? Is it nice for you to have your hands down or out, up? What gives you freedom? What gives you breath? What gives you stability? Search for these things instead of searching for an end point of I must be able to have my arms over my head, or I must be able to do this pose, or having a goal for a physical entity that, a physical posture to happen. Instead, find yourself moving into the process of that goal instead of the goal itself. All right, release the hands down, hop up onto your foot, stretch the leg in the air, square up the hips. This can be challenging to square the hips here. Feel the work of the gluteus medius on that standing leg. See what you can do to bend that knee a little bit and rebound. Feel the yielding. Is your leg in the air active? Can you lift through your glutes and your hamstrings? Is your spine long? How's your breath here? Do you have even weight in both your blocks with your hands? Deep breaths. Exhale and place the foot down. Touch your toes, chair pose. Maybe you want a block between your thighs. So if your knees are a little wonky or your sacrum's a little wonky, maybe try putting a block between your legs for chair pose. It's a nice stable way of doing this posture. Anything you want with your arms. They can be back, they can be up, they can be out. Okay. Gently hug the block if you're using the block. It's not a, vice grip. Okay, find your breath. Draw the knees back. Push your feet into the ground like you're trying to stand up, but you weigh too much to stand up. Give yourself the imaginary weight of your body. Notice if you like one foot more than the other. See if you can even things out. Find the breath. Reach the ribs in. Try not to pop your ribs out. And then stand up straight and tall. Release your arms. Step back. Dog pose. Lift your left leg up in the air. Find the engagement on this side. Left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it on back. Place your foot down onto the ground. Find the balance between your two sides. Isometrically drag your feet apart. Feel the lighting up in your pelvis. Relax your head. Root into the index fingers and thumbs. Come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. We're going to put our knees down onto the ground, and we're going to come into a forearm plank. So you can use blocks. So you can either have one block between your hands. There's lots of different ways you can manage this. You can have your hands on the ground with the thumb and index finger around the block. You can hold the block. You can have two blocks, like one on its wide and one on its narrow if your shoulders are a little wider. So just gauge where shoulder width apart is for you. So you want your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders to line up on one plane. If you tend to have trouble with internal rotation being your go-to, try putting your hands on the block instead of your hands on the floor. This will give you a little bit more stability in the backside of your rotator cuff. See what it feels like to hold yourself here. Okay. Integrate the core. Inner thighs lifting toward the sky, finding the breath. See what it feels like to integrate your body. You can always put your knees down on the floor if you need to. Shoulders away from the ears. Feel that cylinder around your torso. Let a little bit of it out as you inhale. Hug the imaginary block between your thighs so your pelvic floor is engaged as well. And then let's go ahead and melt and find our way down to the ground. Rest for a moment.
And then we're going to come into dolphin pose. So same thing, you can use the block between your hands. You can have your hands on the floor, no block, whatever works for you. And we're going to lift your hips up, walk your feet in, dog pose legs. You can bend your knees. You can absolutely bend your knees. So just see what feels best for you. Lift the shoulders away from the floor. Lift your ribs away from the floor. Relax your head. Root your forearms down. Find your breath. One more time, coming back into a forearm plank. Start to invite this global core support. Can you notice not only the front body, but notice the back body too, the space between your ribs and your pelvis. All right, and then let's come down to the floor. Any back bend of your choice. So maybe you want to do up dog, maybe you want to do cobra pose, maybe you want to do Superman or locust pose. So find your pose and then release and melt your body back down. Come up onto all fours, swish your spine around, find whatever is going to be found so that your body is relaxed, your spine is relaxed. We're going to come onto our shins. If shins are not a happy place for you, first just try putting a blanket underneath your shins so your knee has a little bit of support. You can even let your kneecap kind of come right to the front edge of that blanket. But always, if you can't be on your knee, you can do this and you can put your foot up. That's probably too high, but you can put your foot up on a chair or something and do this standing, okay? So find your breath. Blocks are so helpful. You can have one block underneath. You can have just one block on either side of you, whatever feels stable. Move the femur bone back, lift the spine. Stretch through the 4 points of your foot as you pull that hip back. Notice if you want to turn your leg out, see if you can keep the inner spiral. Find your breath. Okay. And now we're going to twist to the right. So our right foot's in front of us. We're on our left shin, and we're going to put our hand on our hip. Maybe your hand comes in the air to open up. So find a little twist in there. See what it feels like to keep rooting your femur bone back. You can have more height underneath your hand if you need it. Put 2 blocks underneath your hand so that you're upright a little bit more. Still inner spiraling, still pressing through the foot. Lift through your crown. Drop the hip. Press your shin into the floor. And then release and melt. Come into a lunge now with this leg forward. Lift your back knee, extend through your spine, plant your back heel down onto the ground. Up you come into Virabhadrasana 1. So heel is down. You can have your hands on your hips. You can be leaning forward. There's so many ways to cultivate this pose so that your back is in a happy place. Try not to lock out your back knee. Try not to hyperextend it. Have a little softness in there. You can take your legs wider apart if need be. Draw your right knee into your hip. If you lean forward, it can sometimes help you access that, the transverse abdominis, that deeper core muscle. How's your breathing? And then release your hands back down onto the ground. Dog pose, or just come forward and stand. Whatever, if you're trying to avoid some dog poses, just come to a neutral posture. Deep breath in, deep breath out. We're going to go backwards through these 2 poses. So first come into a lunge, plant the back heel down onto the ground. Virabhadrasana 1 on this side. So lean forward a little bit if you want. Arms can come up overhead. You can even have, it's okay to have a little back bend in this pose as long as it's not in your lumbar spine. So if you want to reach your hands up and touch your hands and tip your head back, opening the chest, do this with core support. So lift the pubic bone toward the navel, ground your heels, soften the back knee. Try this, if you isometrically pull your back foot toward the midline, it will help you turn your hip a little bit more. Find your breath. Make sure you're supporting your lumbar spine. All right, release your hands down onto the ground. We're going to place our right knee on the floor. Come back into half Hanumasana. Left foot is forward. You can always stand up and put your foot up on a chair or a bench or a couch or something if you need that support. Lift your heart. Extend through your spine. Notice if your inner leg shrinks. So when you look at your foot, is your big toe side of your foot closer to your pelvis than your pinky toe side? If so, press through the big toe and inner heel. Pull back from the pinky toe side of your foot to your hip. Drop the femur bone down. Lifting the spine, and then we're going to start to twist. So you can put those two blocks underneath you if you need a little more height. And you can take the blocks out to the side as much as you need to for support. If your foot wants to turn out, find that inner spiral. If your hip wants to kick out, drop it in and down. See where you hide away from the pose, where you pull away from the depth. Reach into the length of your spine, stretch into the 4 points of your foot, root that hip back in and down. Open the chest, maybe the arm comes open, maybe it stays on your hip. Drop the shoulders, press your shin into the earth. Find your core twisting you. Use your obliques. All right, and then go ahead and relax. Come into a lunge. Let your back hip stretch open a bit. And then find your way to stand. So bring the back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana and stand on up. Breathing well. Let's find some balance. Root into your right foot. We're going to pick the left knee up in the air. Just feel what it feels like to be on one foot. Okay. Try not to lock out the knee. Keep the hip from sinking out to the side. And then release. Let's practice balance on the other side. Draw the standing leg hip in, the thigh bone back, the knee is soft. Feel the 4 points of both feet. And if you get wobbly, that's okay. Be where you are. Detach from the results of your efforts. Stay in the flow of your effort. How's your breath? And then release your foot down. You can do this with a strap. You can do this, let's all do it with a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can grab your leg. We're going to stand on our right foot. We're going to bring our left foot into the strap and lift the leg out in the air. Lift through the spine. We're going to twist here. So we're not going to cross our foot past the midline. We're staying in line, and we're going to hit our torso. That's what's going to move. Make sure that you are only going as far as your obliques and your breath can take you into the twist. Stabilize your standing leg. The hip is in, the thigh bone's back, the knee is soft. We're working with the breath to open up. Inner spiral the leg in the air. Try not to cross the leg to the midline. Drop that hip down. The hip in the air, drop it down. And then relax. 2 feet on the ground. Soften into the earth. If you're frustrated, if balance poses tie you up in knots, free yourself. Get loose. Let it go. Okay. And then see what you can do to stay in that easeful mind state, even though balance poses can be very binding in the body. Take that strap around your left foot. We're standing on the right leg now. Lift that leg out in the air. Okay. Spread out the 4 points of your feet. Both feet, soften knees. Feel the spine grow. Yield. Drop into the earth. Rebound through your crown. Let that hip in the air. Your left hip drop down. See what it feels like to stabilize. And then as you're ready, twist open. Inner spiral the thighs. The sit bones stay wide. Feel the crown over the ankle, over the pelvis. Only go as far into the twist as the breath and the obliques take you. Your hand can stay on your hip or open up. If you're all over the mat with balance, let go of your attachments. Okay, and then release and relax. So notice the work that happens in the body. Free things up. You can bend forward, you can bounce, you can jump, you can sway, let whatever happened go. And we're going to take our legs wide and come to a squat. Drop the hips down in line with the knees. Open up your knees. Turn your feet out if you want. Find the breath. And then come back up to stand. Back into the same position, standing in Tadasana.
We're going to do this. You don't have to go high with your foot, but just one more aspect of balance and feeling the length of the spine. So standing in your left leg, we're going to lift the right leg up in the air. We'll try doing your right leg first, since that seems to be people's better balance side. And your foot can be low, like just an inch off the ground. Your foot can be high. So be where you are. Try not to slow. You don't want to slouch in the pose to do it. See if you can keep the neutral pelvis. Feel your arms possibly lift up in the air. If that's not good for your back, try out. Try down. And then let's release. Place that foot onto the ground. Root into the earth. Right foot coming down. Left leg lifting up. Ooh, I think I did the opposite. Whatever side, make sure you're doing the second side. Okay, I think I might have cued incorrectly. But just go ahead and remember your foot can be low. Okay, you don't have to have it high, especially with the leg is straight. It's much harder to bend your hip flexors when you have a long lever of your giant leg. So don't worry about going high. Think high in your spine instead of high in your foot. Open things up, stabilize through your standing leg. Maybe lift your arms in the air, maybe not, maybe they come out. Feel the integration of your core. All right, and then go ahead and relax that leg. Take a deep breath, arms come up, fold in half. Walk your hands back or your feet, hands forward or feet back, and come down onto the ground. Take a deep breath, cobra pose. Exhale, and melt back down. Roll over onto your right side. Grab your left foot. Grab your pants, grab a strap, whatever you can grab. We're just stretching our quads. See if you can balance. So play with balance on your side. So a lot of times when I do this pose, I tell you it's okay to kind of bend the knee so that you're not as on a knife edge. But today, experiment with a little bit of a knife edge. Here we are on the floor practicing balance. Okay, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to roll onto your back or your belly. Okay, and then go ahead and release that. And let's find ourselves coming onto the knife edge on the other side. Grab onto your foot. If you can't reach your foot, use a strap. If you can manage to do this balance work on the knife edge, great. And if you need a little break from that, bend your knee that is on the floor, bend it a little bit, flex your hip so you have a wider balance to stretch from. So you experiment, whether you want to play with balance or not. Balance will be better if your core is engaged. All right, and then relax, come back up onto your hands and your knees. Melt around, swirl, swish, and then we're going to come up to stand. However you want to get there. So you can go through dog pose, whatever feels good. Once here, we're going to take our right foot forward, left foot back, plant the back heel down. So remember your feet can be wider or on line with each other, whichever feels best to you. We're going to find our way into Virabhadrasana 3 here. So reach the arms up, feel Vira 1 first, bend your knee, and then we're going to reach the arms back. If you feel really strong, through all the work we did here, if you felt strong with your arms overhead, then you can try practicing Virabhadrasana 3 with your arms out in front of you. And if that's not so available to you, start Vira 1 with your arms back, bend forward, lean forward, ground yourself, and then take maybe a couple hops to get yourself up there and come into Virabhadrasana 3. Inner spiral your leg in the air. Press through the heel, lengthen through the crown, move the shoulders. If your arms are overhead, feel the integration of the core a lot. Feel free to have a soft bend in your knee. Finding your breath. Okay, and then a big, giant step back. Virabhadrasana 1. And walk your back foot forward. If you feel like moving through a vinyasa, by all means, come back to dog pose, come forward into a plank, come down, do a back bend, or just be where I am and just stand for a moment.
Ground yourself. Whenever we do balance poses, notice the ripples in your mind. Do you attach like, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I love this? Do you get tied up in knots? Do you hold your breath? Is it uncomfortable in the body? Can you work with the uncomfortableness? Can you work with cultivating a sense of ease despite the awkwardness? Okay, so before we go to the second side, imprint some ease. Feel the yielding of Tadasana, finding the breath. Long, steady exhales to calm the nervous system. The nervous system gets a huge workout when you balance. So it's on fire, right? It's like watching every millisecond. So let's give the nervous system a calming breath, a long exhale again. And then when you're ready, second side, we're going to come into Virabhadrasana 1. So allow your feet to be where you want them to be. Bend your knee lightly, bend your knee deeply, stabilize through your core. This is the most important thing when we come up into Vira 3. If we're all wonky in our back, we lose not only our balance, but our stability in our body. Maybe reach the arms up. Maybe you're leaning forward or coming all the way up. Maybe you reach the arms back, so decide which variation is best for your body. We're going to root into the left foot and bring that leg back. Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Find your steadiness. It might be good, even if you want to try with the arms overhead, to try first with your arms behind you. Get yourself stable, and then reach your arms overhead. So remember the core. Integrate the ribs. See what it feels like to balance the back of the pelvis, inner spiral the leg in the air, press your foot, lengthen through your crown. Feel the deep work of your standing leg. Your knee might bend a teeny bit. Find your breath. And then a big, steady step back. Don't worry if you lost your balance. Be okay with what is. And then release the hands. Last dog pose. Enjoy the symmetry. Take your feet wide, turn your toes in. Let your legs rest a little bit. Internally rotate your thighs. All right, and then let's go ahead and rest down into child's pose. Decide whether you want your knees close or your knees far. Sweep across the back of the body. You know, when we do those one-legged postures, especially with long levers of our legs and arms, we can, it can be destabilizing for the center of the body, the pelvis, the low back. So let's check in now with your breath. Of course, your glutes might be a little fatigued. That's okay. But just check in with the SI joints, with the pelvis, with the back. All right, we're going to come onto our back. Grab your block. Of course, you can choose to do this actively if you so choose. I'm going to recommend and do it myself passively. So remember, whenever we're doing a bridge pose with support, we want the block across our pelvis, not a narrow edge. So if you want to go this high, stack 2 blocks on top of each other to put under your pelvis instead of 1 block narrow. You want to have support underneath the actual pelvis, the ilium, as well as the sacrum. So low or middle height of 1 block or 2 blocks stacked up. Choose how you want to be. Maybe you're using no blocks and you're just doing it actively. Okay. So rest here. Let your body start to melt. See if the work of bridge pose or the restfulness of bridge pose can be a setting for the pelvis. How's your breath?
Can you relax into this? Can you let your limbs be a little softer as they move into the earth, your feet, your arms? Can you allow for a wide open space for your breathing? Your belly can move. All right, and then put the block on the lowest height and bring your knees toward your chest. Just a little bit of traction for the low back. You can let the knees come forward, your pelvis is tipping. All right, and then we're going to come off of that block, come down onto the ground. You can do a simple twist to each side, or if you want, you can just windshield wiper your knees. So your choice. For some people, after what we've just done, a twist may not be your best option. For some people, it's amazing because you get to stretch your outer hip. So listen to your body. If you're in the amazing category and you feel good on the outer hip, you can straighten the top leg and hold on to your pants or your thigh, your calf or your big toe, and let that outer hip stretch. If you're in the not so amazing category, you can put your back on the floor, feet on the ground, cross your right thigh over your left thigh, and bring your knees to your chest. And those of us in twisting, come back to neutral, go to the other side, knees drop down, take a deep breath. You can always straighten your top leg, keep your knees together, move your hip away from the shoulder and breathe. If you're in the thigh over thigh stretch, put your feet back down onto the ground and switch sides. Left thigh over right. And then go ahead, if you're in your twist, come back. Find a neutral pelvis for a moment. Have a breath. All right, let's go ahead. Everybody come out of whatever pose you're in. You're going to put a block between your thighs and a strap around your legs. If you have a really long strap and you want to do the full constructive rest position, the shortcut is to just strap the strap around your mid thighs with the block between your legs. The long trail is to take the strap behind your back, right above your sacrum, cross it. I'll get a little closer so you can see. Cross it in front of you. So it's on the top of your sacrum in the back. Cross it in front of you. Take the strap behind you again. And then, so it's underneath your buttocks. The second strap is underneath your buttocks. And then you tie it, you bind it. So now we have a crisscross in the front, and we have above and below the buttocks in the back. And you're going to come down onto the floor. You might need to tighten the strap a little bit. We're going to walk the strap down our thighs. So this has the dual action of kind of hugging the hip bones together, which can be very stabilizing for the sacrum, as well as holding our thighs. So this is called constructive rest position, a block in between your thighs. Walk the strap down closer to your knees if you're in this crisscross version. If you just are taking the shortcut and your strap is across your thighs, or you don't have a long enough strap for the constructive rest, then you just be there. Okay, so then once you're there, decide how far you want your feet to be close, to be far. Find the perfect cantilever for your femur bones. And then once you're here, if you're lucky enough to have a sandbag, you could put that on your low belly or even across your chest, or on your shoulders if you have two of them. So, because I know you all have 5 sandbags sitting right next to you. So, but if you happen to be lucky enough to have yoga props at your house, then, Use them. So what are you feeling like here? This is the beginning of our Shavasana. Are you supported enough? Do you need to tighten the strap at all? Do you need to adjust where your feet are? Do you need to adjust where the block is? If you're crisscrossing the strap, is it low on the top of your sacrum or is it poking into your low back? Make sure it's right sweeping across the top of your sacrum. And once you get comfortable, let your body rest. You should feel that you are fully supported. If you don't, one extra thing you can do to be really relaxed in this pose is to scoot yourself to a wall and put your toes against a wall so that you have some feedback that you're not going to slide anywhere. Sometimes the sticky mat is enough for that. You can even put your blocks at your feet and put your toes up on the block. That can be something nice too. So you experiment. Give your nervous system all the cues it needs that you are safe, supported, and at ease. Melt your torso, your spine. When we're in these supported postures, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for your body to register the support, for you to really let go. Some of us need to bake in the oven longer than the others. Sometimes when I do this pose, I need to stay in it for 20 minutes, sometimes just 2 minutes. So you might have to bake different times on different days. How's your breath? Can you feel the heaviness of your body? If at any point in our Shavasana you want to undo yourself, you can just undo yourself and lay flat. But if you're comfortable, try to stay and see what the pose offers you. Continually renew the breath. Continually renew your ability to drop into the earth.
Let's slowly begin to deepen our breathing again. And if you are still in this constructive rest position, can you drop the pelvis deep into the earth? Can you feel your spine rest? And as you are ready, I think it's easiest to bend your knees and kind of slide the strap. But however you feel most comfortable coming out of the posture. Maybe bring your knees to your chest, maybe a big stretch. Go ahead and find yourself coming onto your side. However, you get there, and then taking your time, come up to sit when you're ready. And as you find a comfortable seat, can you know that your practice is just a little dip into this space of cultivating your capacity to hold a resolve with patience, with awareness, with adaptability, with compassion. So offer this skillfulness to have a Sankalpa outward, knowing that your Sankalpas are a gift to the world. But also just share the energy of this that you're cultivating with another. Offer the gift of compassion, patience, awareness, resiliency, adaptability. Offer these gifts to others. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I'll see you in
It's Jenny.
a little over a week. Okay, when I get